So many founders dream of building the next Upwork, this incredible, thriving hub for global talent. And the opportunity? It feels absolutely massive. But here's the hard truth. Most new freelance platforms, they launch to the sound of crickets. They just become digital ghost towns. And the reason why is going to surprise you. It's almost never about the technology. So let's unpack the playbook that really separates the thriving marketplaces from the empty ones. And this right here? This is the fundamental mindset shift you have to make. Founders get so obsessed with features, a slicker UI, maybe slightly lower fees, but that's not what brings people in the door. Freelancers are looking for one thing, real paying jobs. And clients? They're looking for proven, reliable talent. If that core opportunity, that promise of a perfect match isn't there from day one, well, your users will leave, and trust me, they are not coming back for a second look.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to tackle that biggest fear, the empty marketplace. Then, we'll dive deep into the real engine of growth, solve that classic chicken and egg puzzle, get super smart about user acquisition, and we'll wrap it all up with a 5-step checklist you can literally put into action today. Okay, let's dive into section 1, the empty marketplace problem. This is where most new platforms go to die. It's what happens when you focus on all the wrong things right at the beginning, usually because of some really common but really wrong ideas about what actually makes these things grow. So over here on the left, you've got the myths that lead so many founders astray. Thinking that just having better tech or charging a little less is the magic bullet. But the reality, over on the right, tells a completely different story. Opportunity is what wins. Liquidity, which is just a fancy way of saying a high chance of actually finding a match, that is everything. And trust. Trust is the bedrock that lets the whole thing scale. It's a complete shift from just building a product to actually building an entire ecosystem. So if liquidity and opportunity are where we're headed, what's the engine that gets us there? Well, that brings us to section 2, understanding network effects. And listen, this is way more than just a buzzword. This is the fundamental physics that decides if a marketplace is going to soar or if it's just going to sputter and fail. To put it really simply, network effects just mean that every new person who joins makes the platform more valuable for everybody else. A new freelancer shows up? Great, that's another quality option for clients. A new client posts a job? Awesome, that's another opportunity for freelancers. It's this beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle. And here is that beautiful loop in action. See, it starts when more freelancers join the platform. That gives clients way better choices. Better choice then attracts more clients. More clients, of course, create more opportunities, and more opportunities, you guessed it, that attracts even more top-tier freelancers. This is the growth flywheel. And once you get this thing spinning, it is incredibly hard to stop. But that flywheel doesn't just start spinning on its own, which brings us to the single biggest hurdle, the classic problem every single marketplace founder has to face, the chicken and egg problem, right? Freelancers won't join if there are no jobs, and clients won't post jobs if there are no freelancers. Your ability to solve this puzzle is the single most critical test you'll face, period. So this is the million-dollar question. Which side do you focus on first? Do you go out there and try to find a bunch of clients who have projects ready to go, or do you build up a solid pool of talented freelancers first? Your entire launch strategy, everything, hinges on the answer to this one question. And the answer, for the vast majority of freelance marketplaces, is to focus on supply. Focus on the freelancers first. So why is that? Well, because it's usually easier to recruit talented people with the promise of future work than it is to convince a client to post a real job on a totally empty platform. Freelancers are always looking for new channels, and they're often willing to take a chance on a new place that has less competition. But look, just getting freelancers to sign up isn't nearly enough. You have to activate them. You've got to create real value for them from the second they land on your site. You could post curated jobs yourself or create pre-vetted talent pools to show off quality. You could even launch with invite-only access for clients to create some buzz. The key here is that any incentive you offer should be tied to real outcomes, like getting their profile featured, not just, throwing cash at them to sign up. This all leads us to acquiring users at scale. And the secret here is understanding that your growth has to be asymmetric. You cannot, and you absolutely should not, try to grow both sides of the market equally at the same time. You have to be strategic, you have to be intentional, and focus your energy where it's going to matter most at each stage of your journey. So, what does this asymmetric approach actually look like in practice? Well, for freelancers, you go where they already hang out. Niche communities on Reddit, Discord, LinkedIn, and your message is all about fresh opportunity and less competition. But for clients, it's a totally different game. It's high touch, it's direct outreach, it's partnerships. And your message is focused on vetted talent and niche expertise. You're basically running two completely different playbooks at the exact same time. And as you start to grow, your focus has to shift away from all that manual outreach to more scalable, long-term channels. SEO becomes an absolute powerhouse, attracting both freelancers looking for gigs and clients looking for talent. Content marketing builds your authority in this space. And referrals start to kick in once you have a base of really happy users. This is how you build a sustainable growth engine that doesn't rely on just constantly pouring money into ads.
Okay, let's bring this all home. Our final section, your launch success checklist. This is all about turning this theory into a concrete plan. A plan that takes you from that ghost town we all fear to a buzzing, thriving marketplace. Now, before we get to the checklist, let's just ground ourselves in the one single principle that matters more than anything else. Liquidity trumps features. A super simple platform where users can reliably find what they're looking for will always beat a complicated, feature-rich platform with zero activity. This has to be the North Star for every single decision you make. Just look at where the resources go. Failing platforms, they pour almost everything into building more features, just hoping the tech alone will magically attract users. But successful platforms, they are relentlessly, obsessively focused on just two things: generating liquidity and building trust. Your budget, your team's time, all of your energy, it all needs to follow that successful model. So here it is, the 5-step launch plan. Number 1, go niche. Don't try to be Upwork for everybody. Be the absolute best platform for one specific group. 2, seed one side. Intentionally build your supply of freelancers first. 3, and this one is so crucial, ensure early success. Your first 10 users are more important than your next 1,000 because their success stories become your best marketing. 4, build trust. Before you spend a single dollar on ads, build out reviews, vetting processes, and payment protection. And finally, number 5, retain before you grow. Make absolutely sure users are sticking around and getting value before you pour fuel on the fire. And that leaves us with one last, really crucial question to think about. Are you just building a piece of software, a platform? Or are you taking on the much, much harder but infinitely more valuable challenge of building a real, living, breathing market? Because the answer to that question, well, it's going to determine everything.